Keep your radio dial right here. You're locked into the hottest news station on the planet. Hot 702.5 in FM sound. Blazing today's hip hop, R&B, and pop music. Keeping your radio on fire. Bringing you the hottest, realest, riskiest talk shows live 24/7 on hot7025fm.com.
What's up, everybody? And welcome back to your favorite radio show, Laugh Therapy with Joe. And of course, y'all know I've got my beautiful co-host with me,
JD, aka Sunshine. How y'all doing?
We hope y'all are well. We hope that this past week has been an amazing week of beautiful experiences for everyone. I am super duper excited about our topic for today because, as you guys know, here on Laugh Therapy, where laughter is the best medicine and we elevate your mood and your mental, we are talking about fear. We are talking about fear today. What exactly is that feeling? How do we deal with it now versus when we were children? Do we have any new coping mechanisms? Or how does fear show up for us in our lives, right? So I'm really excited to break into this topic, especially being someone who's in the, I won't say limelight, but who's in the industry and expecting to grow into the limelight. I'm excited to talk about how fear shows up for me on my day-to-day, how it has shown up for me in the past versus how it shows up now in adulthood, how I dealt with it in the past versus how I deal with it now in adulthood. So I'm super excited to get into some of these juicies. And as you guys know, I can't take shit seriously. So there will be some laughter along the way and some of these awesome stories that we have to share with you guys. And I look forward to hearing what stories you guys have to share with us as well on your fears and how you have dealt with your fears, getting nice and vulnerable and funny out here with us. So sit back, y'all already know, sit back, relax, grab your wine, and get ready to laugh and have therapy with us today. Alrighty, how do you feel about this topic, Jay?
I'm very excited because just doing some introspection and self-awareness about this topic when we're coming up with the questions. It was funny, the stories that I came up with.
Well, I'm sure we're all super excited.
It's like, you was actually scared of that?
To hear some of your stories as well. But I guess let's just dive right on into it, guys. First question is, what was your biggest childhood fear? And do you find it amusing looking back at it now?
Yo, I was like deathly terrified of the dark. Yeah. Because when I was younger, I used to have, we still ain't even figure out what it is. You know, when you lay on your back and you get that paralyzed and
Sleep
you can't
paralysis.
you can't move and it feel like a demon sitting on top of you. And that used to happen to me all the time. So I was terrified of the dark, and just coming to find out now as an adult, it's really, I can't sleep on my back because it might be sleep apnea.
Yeah, that fear looks differently as an adult. You're just like, damn, I'm gonna need one of them CPAP machines. But as a kid, you're like, I'm dying.
Yeah, you calling out the blood of Jesus at the age of 7. I remember one time I was so terrified after what happened to me. I was screaming to my mom when I could finally talk, because you know you feel like you can't talk either. I started screaming out to my mom. My mom come in there with the holy water. She started putting crosses on the door with the oil. She put it on my head. And had a whole session. I appreciate my mama for that, because I used it after that for myself so I wouldn't have to call upon her. But just finding out that it's sleep paralysis, and don't sleep on your back, Jessica. You might have sleep apnea. So yeah.
Wow. I would probably say my biggest childhood fears, I had two. One was clowns, and I felt that was very justified.
Did you watch It too early?
Yes.
That happened to me too.
My mom told my cousins, my big cousins, not to let me watch the movie It, and they all decided they wanted to watch it. And they were like, you don't have to watch it, but you can sit here. Who's not going to watch the movie? I'm like 6, sitting in there with them, and I was like, I'm big enough to watch it. Girl, okay? I wish your mama was there to plead the blood of Jesus over me, baby, because I sure needed it. I was terrified, and they should have known I was scared because I was quiet. And I was never quiet as a kid. I always had questions. I was always super curious. I was that little cousin that was annoying as shit to all my uncles, because my uncles are only 2 years older than me. So I was that little cousin and niece that was just annoying as shit, and I was quiet as all get out. So they should have known something was wrong then. But watched it, and it fucked me up for life. That and Poltergeist fucked me up like
we didn't do scary movies in my house
when it came to clowns. Neither did we. That's why they were so scary, because my mom didn't allow me to watch them. So I only got to watch them when I was with my dad's side of the family, with my other cousins and whatnot. And they always picked the most horrendous, horrible fucking horror stories ever. And I'd be sitting there like, when I went home. They're gonna eat me, mama. They're gonna eat me. And my mom would be like, oh, what are you talking about? And calling my dad ready to Christianly cuss him out. So, and then my other biggest fear was that one of my parents were going to die. I don't know why I had that fear. I don't know where I thought they was going to go. But it was just a random fear that I would have whenever they left me, whenever they went somewhere that they weren't going to come back. Like it was going to be a car accident or something tragic, and I was going to be one of those kids that had this weird story. And I find it weird now because even when I was little, I knew that I was going to have a book-worthy story. I knew that I was going to have a TV-worthy story. But for some reason, I thought that it had to have something super dark and tragic in order for it to be my story, like losing a parent and becoming an orphan, right? Or losing a sibling. Or like I always thought it was going to be something super-duper tragic that made my story so, ooh. And even when I was little, I always thought somebody that I really, really cared about was going to die in a very horrible way, and I was just going to be super fucked up about it. But both of my parents are still alive.
Yay!
Yeah, so those are my two biggest fears: clowns, and that I was going to lose one of the most important people to me, like ever, as a kid.
Oh, man. So did you have any imaginary monsters or creatures that you believe lurked in the dark?
After watching them movies, everything was a lurking doggone monster.
You didn't want to put your foot on the floor?
I'm saying, boy, jackets scared the shit out of me in the dark. You know how, like, when you first turn off the TV and it still has just that little bit of light because it's still waiting to turn off all the different things? I thought something was finna come through my TV. Like, everything scared the shit out of me after watching horror movies. My dad, actually, my biological father, was actually really good at kind of curving those fears for us, because he made it comical, but he also like played to the fact that we thought he was Superman and he was so strong, right? My dad was a fireman, so to me no one was stronger than my dad. He was fit, he had muscles, you know, and then of course he had one hell of a backswing, which we all knew because we got whoopings, right? So we were thinking that, you know, daddies were the strongest beings out there. And whenever we would be like, well, what would you do if Freddy Krueger came to the house? Or, but what would you do if they're under our bed? And he would always come up with some really creative story on how he was going to fuck them up for fucking with his kids. It was always like, I take Freddy Krueger and I take him by the neck and I do him like a what were them things called that they, balloons, like the balloons, you turn him into a balloon animal. And yeah, how you like being a pig, Freddy? Like my dad would just do stupid shit like that. And we'd be little like, Freddy Krueger's a balloon animal now. Like, yeah, our daddy do mess with our daddy. Like, he was just really good at dumb shit like that. So he turned what was scary to us into something that was fun for us. And now our imaginations turned Freddy Krueger into something, you know, pliable and easy for us to defeat, rather than him coming to us in our dreams and killing us. So yay.
Your story is so heartwarming. It makes your dad sound really good.
He was amazing. Those were that sentence was kicking my ass, y'all. He was amazing in those type of instances. He was.
Oh, I ain't have none of those. What did I do to get rid of the monsters and things? I just turned on the light. First of all, in my house, you know, I grew up as my mom and my sister, and I always felt like their protector, so I couldn't show them that I was scared of something. So I had to just wait till I could turn on the light. And that's what got rid of the monsters and things. It wasn't I didn't have a story like yours. That was really inspirational. That warmed my heart.
Really? Well,
yeah.
I hope it touched some of you guys as well.
Jazzy said hers was crickets.
I had a cousin who was really, really afraid of ladybugs.
Ladybugs?
I don't know what it was, but my cousin Ty was terrified of ladybugs, and that brought me so much joy because I would just go find ladybugs and throw them at them.
Do you want to know what Jamaicans are deathly scared of?
What?
Lizards and scorpions.
Scorpions I can understand. I remember Legacy's dad telling me a story.
Be
He had
in they
left
shoes.
Africa for a while. They sent him to like some type of other schooling, Europe or something like that, which is super amazing to me. To be from Nigeria and they sent him to school in like Europe and all these different places. And he came home for like a summer to spend time with his family and this, that, and the other. And he ended up getting stung by a scorpion. And it was one of those deadly scorpions in Africa. And he said all he remembers is the pain going into his foot and him screaming to all of the soldiers and stuff that were coming to see what was going on. He just kept screaming, no, please, no, please, no, please, don't let me die, no, please, no. Y'all, when I tell y'all I was laughing like that when he told the story, I know it was a traumatic event for him and he was being vulnerable, but his African voice with that sentence alone had me in fucking tears, okay? No, please, no, please, no, please, no, because he didn't want to die by a doggone scorpion and they had to suck it out and take him to the hospital and do all these things, and that was hilarious to me, okay?
Oh my God.
I felt like the worst girlfriend ever, but I was in tears laughing at that man when he was telling me. He was like, I think he said he was like 17 or something. He came back from school and got bit, or 16, came back, got bit by one of them scorpions, and his big ass, I can just imagine, because he's over 6 feet like me, them picking him up and trying to carry him to where he got to go.
Please.
Right, no, please, no, please, no, please, like they could do something about it. So,
Oh my God.
I was tickled. Okay. I was like, why ain't y'all just call an ambulance? But he was like, well, in the city that we were in, it's different. It's a different country, so the way that they do things is different. So they had to carry him to somewhere else that could take him to where he needed to go. And it was a deadly fucking poison in his body. I was like, oh, no. Closed-toed shoes when we go to visit your camp. What the fuck? No, thank you. I don't need the problems in my life.
Jazzy said she got attacked by a swarm of ladybugs once. They bite?
They can.
I didn't know that.
The ladybugs can bite.
You got to be a really evil motherfucker for a ladybug to
like,
bite
what did
you.
you do to the ladybugs?
Yeah, what
for
you
them to
do?
bite you?
We victim shaming. My bad, Jazzy.
That
We
was
love
probably
you.
really traumatic. Our bad, Jazzy.
I got a similar story to that, but mine was with wasps.
It says, as a kid, oh, well, that's kind of similar. As a kid, were you afraid of something that seems silly now? I was afraid of grasshoppers, but not like deathly afraid of them. Just like I still don't like bugs to land on me. Like if I see it over there, that's cool. But I don't want them to land on me. Or if I catch one in a jar or whatever, like that's cool. So it wasn't like a deathly afraid of thing. But like if a grasshopper started flying, or if I looked up and a grasshopper had landed on my shoe or on my shoulder or something, I'd flip the freak out immediately. Just like it was so dramatic. I turned into Kevin Hart with the gnats. It was real bad. With doggone grasshoppers. It was not a cute situation at all.
Dang. I was afraid of drowning because, you know, I've always loved the water and I always loved to be in the water. But when I was younger, I was afraid of drowning until my godmother taught me how to swim. Yeah. But it seems like an irrational fear now because I know how to swim very well. But that's the only reason why. It's because I know how to swim.
I get that. Did you ever have a fear that like your parents tried to help you overcome, and how did they do it? And with whatever that they did, how did it work?
My godmother helping me learn how to swim, so it took a while. It took a few lessons because I was just kicking and floating to the bottom at first because I was just fighting myself. I wasn't letting, you know, the water do most of the work and you just ease into it. You think about how swimming is, right? You don't fight the water. I was fighting this shit out of the water.
I already told y'all about the time my daddy threw me in the pool. And my autistic ass didn't fight or nothing. I just went bloop, 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 to the bottom of the pool. He was like, you ain't gonna try.
Fight for your life,
He was like, you wasn't even gonna try. I was like, help. Just straight to the bottom. I said, you didn't give me any instructions. You didn't tell me what to do. I just almost died. It was just gonna be the end. That's how I went out. A fear that my parents tried to help me overcome. I wouldn't say that my mom didn't try to help me. I would say when my mom got frustrated, she quit trying to help me. So after we watched those horror movies like Poltergeist, I couldn't sleep. So I was crying, "Mommy!" like in my bed, "Mommy!" And of course she got up, she came to the bed, she sat with me for a minute. She prayed with me. She convinced me that the movie, tried to convince me that the movie wasn't real. There were no clowns, but if I needed her to take all my teddy bears out my room or whatever, she could do that. And I love my teddy bears. They're comfort items. I was like, I ain't scared of my bears. It was a clown under the bed. Look under the bed. Like, what?
It's there. I know it is.
I know it's there, right? But in those moments, I was having a double fear, right? Because my other fear was that something was going to happen to my parents. So with
when
her,
they caught the clown.
Right. So now you're in my room to protect me, but at the same time, if that clown is here, it's going to get somebody. I don't want it to get me, but I don't want it to get you either. Like, call somebody else to come and get this clown from my room. So it was a heightened fear, right? I didn't want anything to happen to her, but I also didn't want anything to happen to me. And I remember frustrating my mom. She was tired. It's like 2 a.m. And the night before that, I had a slumber party, which is where we watched the movie, right? So she comes back from her, they did this type woman thou art loose type whatever conference at church. So she wasn't there for my slumber party. My stepdad is the one who let us watch the movie. Then when she came back, of course, I'm traumatized and terrified of the movie. So she tried to sit in my room for a little bit, but once I guess she was tired, she was sleepy, she was like, look, you can sleep with the light on. I'll keep your door open. Ain't nothing in here, and she was like, I'm going to bed. So she got up and she left, and I'm still scared. And you didn't show me what no clowns or nothing, so I'm still sitting here scared. I think I kind of just learned in those moments to sit in it. To just kind of wait and see what happens. And I just kind of waited until I fell asleep, and I woke up alive. I woke up okay. I was like, all right, well.
You ain't wake up dead.
Right. I was like, okay, well, it worked itself out. And then every night it was just kind of something similar, not necessarily me screaming for her help, but I helped myself in those moments. I just kind of sat for a minute and looked around my room and tried to see if anything was moving or whatnot until I fell asleep. So I would say no. What my mother tried didn't work as far as her coming to my room and just talking me out of it, but her kind of leaving me to my own devices and realizing that I'm strong enough to kind of deal with it myself did work. I don't know if she meant for it to happen that way or if she was just tired and it was a lazy parenting thing, but it worked kind of because I believe in my own strength now.
Well, look at there. Breakthroughs. All right. Did you... What was a fear that you had as a child that you still carry with you to this day? How do you cope with it?
I still have a fear of losing people that I really, really care about.
I think we all have that one.
Yeah, it's still a really, really big fear. And for those of you who don't know, I already lost one of my children. I lost my son in 2014, and it was kind of like that fear coming true, and I didn't recover from it quickly. I'm still healing, but I didn't recover from it quickly. Same thing with my grandmother. I lost my grandmother the year after that, and it was just kind of like, again, that fear. So I feel like the way I cope with it now is trying not to attach to people too much. Like as soon as I feel a little bit of hurt or a little bit of distance or something like that, I like lean into it, and I'm just like, okay, I either need to not care about you so that I can separate, or we got to fix this almost immediately, right? So I would say that's still a big fear of mine, is losing the people that matter to me most, or them abandoning me. And I'm still kind of learning how to cope with that, because I just become really defensive and decide I no longer care about that person. That way, if they do die or if they do leave, it hurts less. When in reality, I'm just not allowing myself to feel the feelings that I have for that person, because I feel like they're the ones who something will happen to, or they're the ones that would leave. Does that make sense?
Abandonment.
Does that make sense? So yeah, like it's a fear of abandonment, and I had the same issue when I was younger. I still have it as an adult. I would say as a child, I tried really, really hard to keep that person near me, whereas as adults, it's almost the opposite. It's like I push that person away to see if they're going to stay, to see if they're committed to being a part of my life, and then once they prove and I believe it, like yes, they're committed to being a part of my life, then it's like I'm never letting go, right? Like you got to stay right here. I'm never letting go kind of situation. So it's kind of how I cope with it now as an adult. I kind of make them prove that they're worthy of me caring about them that way, if that makes sense. What about you?
Me, I have an irrational fear of wasps and bees and anything that flies and stings. So when I was younger, we had this apartment, and my sister had like the little motorized car things, and it was sitting out on the balcony, and it had been on the balcony for months. I think it was like over the summer. My sister was gone with her dad, and we were getting ready to go back to school, and my mom was doing cleaning, like spring cleaning. So me and my sister, we went to the dumpster to take out some trash for mom, and she had started working on the balcony. What she didn't know was the wasps had made a huge nest in one of the cars, so she was bringing it in for us to take to the trash next, and it pissed them off. And they just started attacking the shit out of my mama in the house, everywhere. So me and my sister walking back from the dumpster, and all I hear is my mama, like a blood curdling scream from my mom, just oh my god, she's freaking out. And so I take off, and it's wasp, when I say everywhere in the entire house, everywhere. I find my mom in the closet. Yes, and she had got stung like 15 times, and I think I got stung like 2 or 3 times trying to help her get out, because I went and got her out the closet. We ran out. I made sure my sister stayed outside the house, and then I ran and got my mom, and we went outside and had to call. I forgot who we called. Was it the apartment people? It was somebody we had to call to exterminate all the wasps. We were finding dead wasps in the house for weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, so I have an irrational fear of wasps. So if a wasp fly in my car while I'm driving, the wasp can have the car.
Everybody
the wasp
gotta watch
can have
out.
the house. The wasp can have everything. It just, that ain't changing.
Well, that'll do it. That'll definitely cause a doggone lifelong fear. What's a fear that you find challenging to open up about, even in a lighthearted setting? And why do you think it's difficult for you to share? Usually. And you don't have to go into detail, just what is the thing?
I would say, I would say probably my fear of abandonment. Being abandoned.
By whom? Oh, I said you don't have to go into detail. Sorry.
No, it's not that I don't want to go into detail. It's just, I'm working on telling myself I am enough. And when I feel abandoned, it makes me feel like I am not enough.
Where do you think that root fear comes from? Because it has to come from somewhere. So
Daddy issues.
Your father? You feel your father abandoned you?
Most definitely. Yeah. I've always felt like the Will Smith episode. Why you don't want me, man? Why you don't want me? I felt like I was an amazing person, amazing child, an amazing human being that you created, that you lived across town from, and you didn't get a chance to really know.
I can see that. I think that's something that we share. I think that's a trauma bond that we share in our relationship. We both have that with our fathers, where we're like, damn, like I was a fucking amazing ass kid, you know, and I'm an amazing human, like I'm an amazing adult too, you know. I think I had that for so long, and I tried to build that relationship with my dad, and I always wanted that relationship with my siblings that are on my dad's side and my cousins that are on my dad's side, but I didn't know. I feel like as I was growing up, I was waiting on someone to reach out to me and make it better, you know, and that never happened. So then as I got older, I started trying to be the one that reached out a little bit more and made sure that like I never missed a family function. If I was invited, I wanted to make sure I was there, you know, that way I could stand on that. If you call me and you ask me to be somewhere, I will be there, you know, to my family, so that they knew that. And the calls still didn't come in, you know, as often as I would have liked. And I remember calling my dad told me to call my grandmother once for something, and when I called her, she made like a snide comment like that, like, what do you want, because you don't ever call me. you know, unless you want some. And I was just thinking, like,
that's going to continue to make me want to not call you.
It wasn't even that crossed my mind. It was just kind of like how quickly we forget, you know, because now that I'm an adult, you expect me to be the person to pick up the phone. But when you were the adult and I was the child, picking up the phone to call me wasn't even almost a priority on your fucking list, you know? It's kind of how I was feeling. At the time, and I was just like, why else would I call you? I don't know what else to call you for, lady. I don't know you. You know, it's just kind of how I was feeling. What would I call you for? I could call my Gagi for advice. I could call my Gagi for a laugh. I could call my Gagi just to see how her day was going, and she would talk to me for hours if I needed to, just, you know, because, and we don't have that relationship, and we don't have it because of you, right? Had it been nurtured when I was younger, we would have it now. Now as an adult, it takes both of us to try and create that relationship, and you've made it clear that you don't care to have it. So to throw in my face that I only call you when I need something, technically I don't even call you then, lady. The only reason I'm on your line is because your son told me that you have a printer, is kind of how I was feeling, but I didn't want to say it at that time. Right? So my feelings were hurt just in the initial reaction that she gave, albeit true. She's right. I don't call her, but why don't I call you is kind of what I wanted to call to the forefront there. But anyway, that's not one of mine. I think that's just a trauma bond that you and I share as far as abandonment. For me, it was the entire side of that family, almost the entire side of that family. I feel that I have an okay relationship with some of my cousins, but still most of them only call me if they need something. Most of my cousins and uncles only call me if they need something, and if they don't need something, they don't call me. So we're not, you know, very close. A fear that I find challenging to open up about, I would say it's similar. Not necessarily abandonment, but the not enoughness. A fear of all of my talents and all of my gifts and all that I give and all of my love and all of that not being enough for the people that I'm trying to give it to. So I feel like the way that I have dealt with that in the past is to just not give it. I've not given all of it. So I give like maybe 35%, maybe even up to 60%, so that this person knows that I have it, knows that I have this amazingness. They know that I have these gifts or whatnot, but I don't give my all, because what if I give my all and it's not good enough? Like, it's cool when it's the 30 to 60%. It's cool, you know, like, oh, you can do that? Oh my God, maybe I can utilize that sometimes, or I'll use that talent sometimes, or I'll give you a compliment sometimes, kind of thing. But what if I put 100% of myself into something and it fails? What if I think I'm the funniest motherfucker ever in comedy and I fail? What if I put my all into this baby, this website, this book that I'm writing, and it fails, right? What if all of the talents and all of the gifts and all of the things that I know that I am and that I have been and that people have complimented me on in my entire life, I thought that I could make it in this? What if I actually give it 100% of myself and that shit fucking fails? And it's... It's a mental thing, because I know I have the talent, I know I have the gifts, I know I have the ability, but because your talents and your gifts and your abilities are something that has to be like, that's put into this industry type thing, it becomes a popularity contest, and then you're not the only person with these gifts or with these dreams that want to make that happen. So now it makes your gifts and your talent something that you have to compete with instead of just taking joy in, right? So it just adds so many different layers to it. And what if I'm not enough? What if I'm not their cup of tea? What if all of the people that I'm trying to touch and help and bring joy to and make laugh and love, and what if they don't love me back? What if they don't want what I have? What if they don't like my gift, right? What if they don't support me? What if I say, I've been working on this website, y'all, and it's finally up and running, kingmecomedy.com. Y'all give it a visit.
Give it a visit. Buy something.
Yes. I'm like, what if I put all of this energy and this blood, sweat, and tears, and I've borrowed money and borrowed from Peter to pay Paul or whatnot to get this up and running, and what if y'all don't buy anything? What if y'all don't support it, right? So it's just, it's not necessarily a fear of failure myself, because I know I'm good enough. It's a fear of failure out of my control, because all of my gifts require you to like them too, if that makes sense. In order for me to monetize and be successful in my gifts, it requires other people to support my gift.
So you know you good enough. You just want everybody else to know you good enough.
Like, what if y'all don't think I'm good enough, right? What if I'm putting all of this effort and all of this energy and all of this love into something, and the people that I present it to are like, meh. right? So yeah, I'd say that's probably one of my
I think it's funny how we react to it differently. Like you only give the 35 and I give 105 and exhaust myself.
Right. You try to prove it. I already know it, right?
Yeah.
So you're trying to prove that you're good enough. I know I'm good enough. I question whether or not y'all are good enough to recognize that I'm good enough, right? Like, that's it. I don't want to waste my time, if that makes sense. I don't want to waste my gift by giving my 105 or my 150 and y'all still go, meh. If I only gave 60% and you go, meh, I'm like, bitch, you just wait, because if I would have given you 100, I still have that in my back pocket to where I didn't give it everything. But if I give it everything and somebody comes back
that's why I be so hurt.
Yeah.
That's why I be so hurt.
If I give it
and
everything
stuff don't work
and
out.
all of it in there and it fails, or I give it everything and somebody doesn't appreciate that shit, I'm like, like it hits different. So I would say that's one of my biggest fears, and I'm learning to conquer it and just put more of myself into things. And it's a very, very recent knowing now when it comes to that. So, yeah.
Interesting. Can you recall a funny or embarrassing moment from your
Lots
childhood where the fear got the best of you?
Oh, I should have let you finish the question. I said lots of them. I wasn't diagnosed with autism until I was an adult. I had lots of fun as a kid because I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Oh, yay. Somebody just signed up for my website. Thank you so much, Desaya. Thank you. See, it brings me joy. Anyway, a funny or embarrassing moment from your childhood when fear got the best of you. Well, one is my fear of losing someone close to me. I was having a birthday party. All of us were having a good time. I think I've told this story on site before. And we were all having just, a good old time. There were pools everywhere. It was at this spa that we used to go to. Yes, I had a spa birthday, and I was like 9.
You had a spa birthday?
I did. I was like 10 maybe. I was like 10 years old, and we had a spa birthday at this like resort that we used to go to every summer. And
y'all went to resorts? Y'all was rich.
We were not.
Y'all was rich.
We were not rich. Our church had like some type of membership or something there, and we were able to get different discounts, and we had so much fun going. We would stay in the little...
Y'all was rich.
Anyway, we went to this resort, and I looked up from the table where we were, and I saw my cousin Tristan drowning in the pool. Like, she just disappeared. She just disappeared under the water, and I was like, Tristan! And took off running from where I was. All the adults were like, what's going on? Because they thought I was always dramatic. So they were like, oh, what's going on? And they all stood up to see, some of them stood up to see what was going on. And they saw Tristan drowning. And I had to run quite a distance now that I think about it, because I was all the way at the back end and I saw that. So I had to run from the back. There were stairs, and then it was another thing, and more stairs, and then it was the pool. So I ran down all of that. I was like, somebody else could have hopped off in the pool and just grabbed her and picked her up, and nobody did it. They all waited, sitting there looking at my dramatic ass run all the way from the top to jump in the pool and get Tristan out of the water. So I would say that was embarrassing and funny because of how hard I ran. Thank you. But a funny
Didn't you almost drown trying to save her?
I did.
That was
as
the funny
you guys
part
can
of the
remember,
story.
I was like, in case you guys didn't remember from the story I just told, I could not swim. I could not swim. My daddy thought he was going to teach me how to swim by throwing me in the water, and I didn't kick, I didn't flail, I didn't nothing. I just went like this and sank to the bottom, and he just grabbed me and picked me up and goes, you wasn't even going to try? I was like, you didn't tell me what to do.
35%.
You didn't tell me what to do. So I was going to float, I guess. So yeah, that is both embarrassing and funny because I was willing to risk myself for her that I wouldn't lose her, but then they would have lost me
too.
So it would have been a lose-lose situation, but I saved us both.
Oh, okay. Mine. So I loved haunted houses, and in Texas they're a big thing. We got the 13th floor, we got all of. So when I was younger, it was a group of us. We went.
Did I ever tell you about the time that I left the kids because I was scared? So I was part of the Big Brother Big Sister program, and I took all the Big Brother Big Sisters to a haunted house and left them all because a guy came running out. It was a clown.
Oh yeah, you told it after I told you the story I'm about to tell.
Okay, go ahead, tell your story. Left all them kids, y'all. Anyway, go ahead.
So we going through the haunted house. They got the chainsaws at your ankles and shit like that. Mm-hmm. which is fine. That's a natural, healthy fear to have. But then we just walking through a regular part, and it's nothing happening, and then all I hear is somebody go, Jessica, Jessica, and I turn around, and it's this big ass clown.
Oh no. Oh no.
And he is calling my name for like 5 minutes. So by 3 minutes and 30 seconds, I'm having an aneurysm out loud. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, like I done faced up to the clown at this point, and he like this tall, and I'm like this, and all of my family is like, no, don't do it, and I'm screaming at you motherfucker. I'm going ham on him, because they make you sign some shit at the beginning where you can't
hit him.
You can't hit him. But I'm like, he knows my name, y'all.
Right.
And before I'm about to cock back on him, he was like, no, wait, it's Anthony. It ended up being one of my homeboys from middle school. He was hunting me for 5 minutes. Yo, he fucked me up.
Boy, when I say I'd have drew back so quick, that 3.5 minutes is a long time to be scared. I be trying to unscared real quick.
At first, he was far enough away, and he was just kind of being annoying, and I was like, I'm just gonna try to walk it off. And then he got closer, and then that's when we had the issue, is when he got up on me like that. What was your story about leaving them kids?
Baby, I left all them kids.
Them poor kids.
I left out. None of them were mine. Let's be clear on that. None of them were my kids. I'd have fought for my kids. I like to think I would have fought for my kids. I had a really bad fear of clowns, but I was living in Tennessee at the time. I had just gotten out of the military, and I joined the Big Brother Big Sister program. I thought it would give me kind of a purpose after losing my son. And I still had my daughter, but it just gave me a purpose to pour into another child. It was suggested by my church. So anyway, I signed up for Big Brother Big Sister program, and they assigned me this little girl, and I'm so excited. She was almost a teenager. She was like 11, 12. And I was like, oh, that's fun, because I can go and do like real girl stuff with her. We can go get our nails done, we can go get our hair done and stuff like that. But they assigned me a girl that wasn't into none of that. So then I was confused, because I was like, you want to do what? She was into like avatars and aliens and what are the things, little cartoon people? Anime. That's what I was looking for. She was into like anime and stuff like that. I didn't know shit about anime except Powerpuff Girls, right?
Powerpuff Girls is anime?
In my head, that's what I knew.
I'm thinking of Goku.
Even stuff like that, right? Dragon Ball Z and Powerpuff Girls was all I knew. Japanese style as cartoons is what I thought. So I didn't know anything about that. Anyway.
Jazzy said she tried to call. Call back, Jazzy.
Oh, we missed it.
We got to hear your story.
Because we didn't see... what was I about to say? Oh, because I didn't know anything about anime, I figured it would be great to have her play off of some other kids. So I also was a youth... I was a youth pastor, y'all. I was a youth pastor at several churches, actually, in Texas and in Tennessee. But I was a youth pastor, and I also taught dance. I taught youth dance, praise dance at the church. So I took a couple of the girls from the church to go and meet with my little sister from the Big Brother Little Sister program, and she wanted to go to a haunted house. She had never been to one before, so I'm thinking this is going to be so much fun. I don't know why I thought that, especially knowing myself, but I was like, this is going to be so much fun. I'm going to take the girls. So it was 4 of us, and we went, and I should have known that I fucked up as soon as I walked up.
This is Jazzy, babe.
Is it Jazzy? You're on Laugh Therapy. Who are we talking to?
Oh, wait.
How are y'all?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. My story is similar to Jessica's.
You said it's similar to your story, similar to Jessica's? We're trying to adjust your volume so that everybody can hear you, love. I'm sorry. 1 second.
Okay. Okay, so just like haunted house experience, if they slap you with chainsaws, I make it through the haunted house fine and dandy. I get to the end with my friend, and I just give the chainsaw rest, like the sound it makes when it just turns on. I didn't even look. I just haul ass running to the exit.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That sounds like exactly what my story was getting ready to be, except mine includes children. But for those of y'all who couldn't hear her, she said she had a similar horror story. Thank you so much for that, Jazzy. She had a similar fear story of going to a haunted house. She made it all the way through the haunted house and was fine, but when she made it to the end of the haunted house, she heard the chainsaw rev right behind her and like took off. And that's similar to what happened to us. We made it all the way through the haunted house. Me and the girls, we were having a fun time. You know, we get a little scared every now and then. They have the children of the corn in there and fake demons everywhere. They had all kind of stuff like that. It was so much fun. And then we get to the end and we're walking out. So we think that we made it through. We're done. There are these 2 porta potties at the end, like in the parking lot. And we turn away from the porta potty so that we can walk toward where I'm parked. And there was a big ass clown in the porta potty holding a chainsaw. He kicked the door of the porta potty open right as we were passing the porta potty. So of course we already jump a little bit. Right. We jump a little bit to turn and look at the porta potty. Y'all, when I saw it was a clown, my life about left my body. And then as soon as I see it is a clown holding a chainsaw, running. The part that fucked me up.
You trying to explain you leaving them kids and it's no.
I don't understand why they didn't run right then, for starters. Why the fuck did the kids not run right when he kicked the door open? That's the part.
Kids.
But also, y'all, he didn't just like rev the chainsaw. He sprinted toward us, revving the chainsaw. When I tell y'all I took flight. Okay, and I'm 6'2". I have super long legs. One of the girls also had super long legs. She was a tall girl with me. She's running like maybe 3-4 steps behind me. Those other 2 girls were like, wait, they're falling all in the street. They're knocking each other over. And if it was a horror movie, them 2 would have got. Because me and the other little girl was out of there. We cleared that parking lot. But yeah, I left them kids. I didn't tell their parents that when I dropped them off. I was just like, we had so much fun at the horn. I'm sure they told their parents, but I left all 4
like
of them
Jurassic
kids.
Park. She left us.
Right.
She left us.
I left all 4 of them kids.
So if any of your kids are growing up with those kinds of issues,
I'm better now. I was like 24, 23 when that happened. I'm better now.
it might have been
They're
Joe
probably
King that left your kids.
That left your kids at the haunted house. My bad. They're alive. They were fine. I dropped them off to you nice and safe and fed. But yeah, I left all 4 of them kids.
You left them and then fed them. What?
Did.
What a treat.
I did. I took them to Chili's and fed them. They got appetizers and everything on me. My bad, y'all. But I left all them babies. Look at you, still alive.
That's how you bribe kids.
I agree. So yeah, how does fear manifest differently in your adult life compared to your childhood?
As an adult, I think you experience a lot of things and you develop a healthy fear of certain things that you probably should have when you were younger. Like, as an example, for me, driving. I have developed a healthy fear, which has made me more of a defensive driver and more cautious. Because when I was younger, my foot was led and I was a speed demon, swerving in and out of lanes, doing all kind of crazy stuff. Like, Mom, if you're listening, please close your ears. So, for prom, my mom rented us a car, and a bunch of 18-year-olds went to Six Flags. You know, we from Houston, so we drove up after prom to San Antonio, spent the night in San Antonio, went to Six Flags, came back the next night. But on the drive there and on the drive back, I hit the govern on my car at least 6 times, speeding. Yeah, so I don't know if any of y'all know, but in Houston, by Katy Mills Mall on the freeway, it's like this huge curve, right? And so I'm going like 120. And I realized I was going way too fast. And so I tried to slow down. And I had just passed a group of cars. The car did a whole 360 on the freeway. Like, I know I'm divinely protected because me and my brother should have been dead at that moment and point in time. And it was no cars around.
It's been a long whole day.
It was no
Without you,
cars
my
around,
friend.
but I have developed a healthy fear of certain things that I should have had younger. Like the power of a vehicle, you have to have respect for it and just a little bit of fear to respect it. I think that's how you look at it as an adult. You have a healthy amount of fear of things to keep you safe. Like, you're scared of getting STDs. Make people get checked or don't have a lot of sex. And when you're younger, a lot of times you don't think about those kind of things. You just out here wilding about. I'm talking about younger. I'm not talking about like 20s. I'm talking about like young. You just doing shit just to do it. I'm saying as you get older, you develop a small, healthy amount of fear for things. Yep. See, Shaky, that's why you let me drive you, is because I know how to drive now. So, yeah.
I would say it manifests differently in what I'm afraid to lose versus childhood versus adult. When I was younger, I was afraid of losing people. As an adult, I understand that people come and go. I'm more afraid of losing things. When I was younger, I was afraid of losing like my parents or my siblings or people that I cared about. As an adult, I'm afraid of losing things like respect. I'm afraid of losing material things like my home because it affects the people that I care about, like my children. Right, so I would say fear manifests greater because I have more to lose now. As a child, I had less to lose material-wise. You know, it was more so just centered around the people who were taking care of me, and it would change my lifestyle if I lost those people. Now I'm the person who's responsible for people's lifestyles. I'm the person who's responsible for how my children live, how they eat, how they do what it is that they're doing. So I would say my fear manifests differently because if I don't conquer it, their lives look differently. Whereas when I was younger, all of that responsibility was on someone else. So fear manifests itself differently because I have different responsibilities as an adult than I did when I was a child, for me.
Okay. Have you ever faced the fear head on and surprised yourself with how you handle it as an adult?
Yeah, I don't know why I was so afraid of crowd work and hosting in comedy. I am a great fucking host.
Since day one that you would be great
I am
at
an
it.
amazing freaking host. If I could toot my own horn, when it comes to comedy clubs, comedy shows, like having me be I don't really know what it's like to be the booker, but to hire me as a host, I can get a crowd ready, right? I can get a crowd laughing and goofy and just make them feel comfortable and ready in no time. That's just part of my personality. But in my mind, I made it something that it wasn't. I made it require so much more than just being myself. So I was afraid of having to perform like someone else, knowing, like, I embrace my flaws now. I embrace that not my flaws, but I embrace that I'm autistic now. I embrace that there are just some things that are different for me and my brain works differently than other people's, right? I embrace the fact that I am not suffering from bipolar disorder. I am diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and there are things that I can do to keep myself, here, present, mentally. So in my mind, I thought that I needed to be some other type of comic in order to make that successful. I needed to be like another comic, in order to be successful in hosting. And I just kind of was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna just ask them if they'll let me host. And they did. They were like, yeah, sure, go on and host. And it was at a really nice comedy club here, LA Comedy Club here in Las Vegas. Shout out to them. Shout out to Matt. And Butch Bradley, the comedian who encouraged me to do it, and he let me host his show at LA Comedy, and it was so much fun, y'all. I damn near got a standing ovation. Like, everybody there was like, oh my goodness, you were so funny, we love you. I had such a great time, and I just took that on head on, and I was like, I'm gonna wing it, and let's see what happens, and just be myself. And it was worth it. It was worth it because now I'm like, you need a host? I'm texting now, you need a host? Because I'm a good one. Did you know I'm a good ass host? Did you know I'm a fire ass host? So yeah. What about you?
Betting on myself.
I'd like to think that I helped with that. Not to toot my own horn, but it is Leo season. It's almost a real big birthday. Leo season. I had to bring it back to me. But yes, I feel like I helped with that. But anyway, go ahead.
You did. You did. So I went through life and took all the sure bets. I never went and ventured out and tried something and bet on myself in that type of way. You know, once we moved out here, I had to quit my steady job that I had literally just received my 10-year award before we moved out here. Like, I literally had just received it.
Yeah, that conversation it's still one of my favorite conversations with you, where I was like, if you don't like your job, then quit. And like your face looking at me like, bitch, what? Like, I have been here for a decade. Like, I have dedicated 10 years of my life to this career. And I was like, but you don't like it. And you were like, no, it's not that I don't like it. It's easy. And you had all of these different things. And I was like, you are making a lot of excuses for a job that you don't like. You don't like it. You just said you don't like it. And now you're trying to think of all the things that you do like about it. That's not no. You know, I was like, all of that stems insecurity, but you don't like it. And I think she just kind of sat with it for a while, and then she finally came back and was like, you would really let me quit my job? And I was like, let you? Like, what? I'm not in control of you. You want to quit that job? Quit the job, girl. We moving. Let's go. So, but I've always been, if I don't like this job, fuck this job. That's always been me. I stay at a job for security, and, you know, so that I can take care of my family. And as soon as that becomes too much, right? Not the responsibility of taking care of my family, but when I am stressed taking care of my family at this job, then this job is no longer for me. The whole point of this job was so that I could do that peacefully and without stress. And no, it's too much. I'm out. So,
and it wasn't even stressful. The job wasn't hard. It wasn't stressful. It's not like I had to take work home. I didn't live with it. It was just killing me slowly on the inside. It's not what I went to school for.
It didn't bring her joy.
It didn't. It had moments where it did, because I did help kids, students, and which those moments did bring me joy, but it wasn't a lot of those moments. Like, a lot of it was transactional, and it wasn't like the heartfelt moments that I was used to in my career prior to.
Understood. So both fears were kind of in our career standpoint. Now I want to ask this question before we wrap up here, because it's super funny.
Which one is it?
The fear-related games. We might be able to ask 2 more questions before we run out. But were there any fear-related games or challenges you played with your friends when you were younger?
Fear-related? Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's necessarily fear-related, but it's probably adrenaline related, which stems from fear, I would guess. Nigga knocking.
Okay.
Yeah, we did a lot of that.
I wouldn't call it fear related, but we played 2 fear related games. I don't know if you guys ever grew up playing Bloody Mary or Candyman.
Oh, nah, we ain't mess with that. Nope.
My cousins on once again, at my goddamn daddy side, it's always you treacherous. No, I'm playing. It's always you. Just in trouble. I was the only child in my mama's house, so I didn't know a lot of those games. And I went to my dad's house where all my cousins were, and they was playing all them hood ass nigga ass games, and they were playing Bloody Mary. And I was like, well, what's Bloody Mary? And my cousin was like, you don't want to play that. Joe don't want to play. Jordan don't want to play that. Don't do that. And all my cousins were like, yes, she does. She said she does. So they like grabbed me and like threw me in the bathroom, right? And in my grandmother's house, she had like one of those wraparound houses. So it was a living room, and then her bedroom. There was a bathroom and a bedroom on the other side of the bathroom, but all of it was connected. So the bedroom had a door to the bathroom. The bathroom had a door to the other bedroom, and that door had a door that led to the living room. So you could literally run in a circle in my grandmother's house. And this did not work well for my cousin Jasmine, because she was a runner when she got a whooping, and my grandma would always chase her just for a little bit and then turn around, because she knew Jasmine's stupid ass was going to run in that circle back around, and she would catch her at the other end and beat her ass for making her run. So with that in mind, when they threw me in the bathroom and closed the door, and they turned the light off, and it was like, Bloody Mary. And I was like, who's Bloody Mary? And they're like, you got to say her name 3 times, and she comes out the window, or comes out the mirror, or comes out the toilet. And if you're not, like, if your soul isn't pure or something, she kills you. And I was like, what? Why
are we playing
it? Right. I was like, I don't know if my soul is pure. And they were like, you're so pure. You're spoiled, and you live with your mom, and y'all go to church. And I was like, that's how you determined that my soul was pure? Like, we just stole candy 2 days ago. Like, that's all I'm thinking of. I was like, when we went to the store the other day, we stole the Snickers, and we stole the candy. Like, I was tripping. When you stole the hot Cheetos, I'm snitching on them in the bathroom, right? So they turned the light off, and they're like, we gonna do it. And they're like, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, blood, like in the mirror. And I'm sitting there and I can just feel the anxiety. So I want to leave. So I go to, I went to open the door. My cousin wouldn't let me open the door. They say Bloody Mary. And one of my other cousins, thinking that it was funny, like banged on the other side of the door. Because we had closed the doors, banged on the other side of the door. Y'all, when I tell y'all, I trampled every motherfucker in that bathroom. Everybody was hurt but me.
They saw Bloody Mary that day.
I stepped on my little sister. I elbowed my brother. I pushed my cousin. One of them hit the corner of the sink, like hit their head on the corner of the sink and was like, I'm dizzy after the fact. I don't give a fuck. I left everybody. I got... and opened that door and took off running in that circle to go tell my grandma. But, yeah, I'd probably say those were fear-related games we shouldn't have fucking played as children. But I think that's a good place for us to kind of wrap up here, guys, because we only have a few more seconds. Thank you so much for tuning in to Laugh Therapy. We hope you enjoyed this conversation. We tried to keep it as light as possible with our stories, but also the point of this conversation is to encourage you guys to face your fears.
Yes.
Notice that the fears that you had when you were younger, you have already overcome, and the fears that you have today will have the same ending, the same story. You will have new fears in 10 years, and the fears that you have today, you'll look back on and be like, what the fuck was I even worried about? You know, so just to encourage you guys to face your fears and to move forward in life and to go forward with your courage and your power. Absolutely. And I think that is it. Tune in next week, next Thursday at 4 p.m. to Laugh Therapy. I do not know, who do we have next week? It's August 3rd. We will have Dicey and Punky Johnson.
Ooh, that's going to be great.
Dicey and Punky Johnson comedians here for Laugh Therapy. And we're really, really, really excited to speak to both of them. So we will talk to you guys next week.
All right.
Over and out. Mwah, mwah, mwah.